many of you have been to a conductor event in the past? All right, most. This event, we're in the process of changing. Many of you have maybe been to an event called Startup Grind in the past. How many of you have been to Startup Grind? Well, the format for Game Changers is going to be very, very similar to Startup Grind. We have a featured guest each month where we'll be talking to them and getting some wisdom on life and business, and we really try to look for folks who've changed the game in some capacity or not. It's the name Game Changers. So we really appreciate you for being here. I'd like to give some shout outs to Marco, who's in the back there. Marco is our fellow that works with us. And if you are in my entrepreneurial finance class and you've not seen Marco, then you're going to need to visit with him just to check in that you're here. Tiffany is our rule director, and she just put something in her mouth, and I'm calling her purposely for that reason. And Grace is waiting for operations. Give the conductor team a round of applause. I see Jim Crockett back there as well. Jim Crockett runs our 10X growth accelerator, so we're glad to have him here as well. We're glad you're here, and we're going to get started. So, Joey, welcome to Game Changers. We appreciate you being here.
It is good to be here, and thank you, Wendy, and the team for making it possible, and for Jeff. I'm excited about being with you this evening.
So we're going to start at the beginning. Go way, way back. Not as far as me, but you're way back. And tell us about Joey Cook. Who is Joey Cook?
I almost pulled a really bad Steve Martin joke there, but I'm not going to do it. I was raised in a really small rural town in North Arkansas called Jamestown, and I'll buy you a next drink if you know where I'm talking about. But okay, a couple of hands. That didn't cost me too much. It's population 63, and we were the last ones to get picked up on the school bus and the first ones in the morning. So morning and evening, it was a long trip. But my dad worked for the highway department. My mom cleaned banks and houses, and that's how we put food on the table. So I was the first one in my family to attend college. I played golf. I couldn't make the D1 school, so I got to play at a place called Williams Baptist College and spent a few years there. They actually allowed me to come back on campus yesterday and tell a little bit about my story here and the upcoming book release. And so I went from there, went to Arkansas State University to finish my business school. I paid my way through college buying and selling on eBay when eBay first came out. If you don't remember that, it was much like Facebook marketplaces to now. It was kind of that new, easy way to exchange goods and services. So in that period after graduation, actually, I had, it was kind of a divine moment. I like to say that God grabbed me by the coattail and put me in a different place in my life. So I thought I was going to be selling insurance, actually. And my life took a hard turn there. So from there, we moved.
And you were in college then?
That was after college, after undergrad.
Okay. So you graduated college, and what was your first job at college?
So during college, so we did the eBay thing. Then I worked at El Chico, slinging guacamole at a restaurant, and then I worked at a golf course also. So mowed grass there. And then out of college, my first job after my undergrad was I actually took a job at a church with no training and no experience. So I still to this day don't know why they hired me, but they did, and they gave me an opportunity to start that career path. And so it's funny, we talk business principles, and what I've found is that there is so much overlap between organizational leadership, whether you're in the church or whether you're in the marketplace. And so kind of from that place, I decided I needed higher learning in my career field, which for ministry is called seminary. And so we attended 7 years working on a couple of masters there. And then most recently, did a dissertation project and got a doctoral work, got my doctorate in ministry. And so during that time, hey Rob, it's good to see you. During that time, I served as worked with students, and then decided to start a church. So I've realized since then, you've got to be really driven and half crazy to try to start a church. But we did that, and it's been an incredible ride. I've learned more about leadership in the past 6 years in this phase of my journey than all of business school. Just to be honest, you know how that experiential learning. It was one thing to kind of file it away through studies and other things, but live it out in real time. And so that was a big part of our journey.
So when you were in high school, back junior, sophomore, maybe even senior, what did you think you were going to do career-wise? What was your aspiration at that time?
Yeah, it's funny. I had never seen anyone in my family do anything related to business. But interestingly enough, my dad always bought and sold used cars. So it was kind of a running joke because we always had about 7 vehicles in our yard. And he would find something for $500 and he'd sell it for $1,500. And so we learned early on how to make a dollar. And so I really thought that that's what I would do. I thought I would have some kind of, I would serve somewhere in business. Honestly, I worked a lot of construction growing up. I thought I might get into construction and start my own construction company. But we learned the value of hard work at an early age. When I was 12, my dad made me start working for my grandfather, who was a brick mason. And so every morning at about 4:30, my mom would get me out of bed. I never wanted to get up, and I would put my boots on, and I would pack a lunch, and my grandpa would come out into the yard, and he'd start honking the horn at about 5 or 5:30. And that's when we'd get in the truck, and we would go to work. And I really think it was kind of those early formative years, just seeing the value of hard work that has allowed us to see and accomplish some of the things that we've seen accomplished over the last 20 years.
Gotcha. So you graduated college, took a job in church. Talk to us about how you ended up back in Conway, or how you ended up in Conway.
Yeah, so we originally, in 2012, we moved to Dallas to start a church. And I had a friend down there who had planted just north of Plano in Frisco, Texas, in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And the church was doing very well. And he said, hey, I want you to come and start a church in North Dallas. And so we went down there. We lived down the street from Deion Sanders, which was a pretty interesting. I actually got a job at a golf course as a cart boy and worked to plant a church there for almost a year. About 6 months in, we really hit a lull. The new of the city had worn off. And we were, I was a country boy, really stuck in a major metropolitan area. And so we didn't do our homework really going in, and it caused a lot of heartache for us. Actually, we hit a really rough patch in our marriage. My wife's here today. We've been married for 14 years. And we got married right after Christ, thank you. And we have 2 kids, by the way, both at the back table as well. But we did a rough patch in our marriage, and life and work got really hard. We just realized that we didn't do our contextual homework moving in, and so we got really lonely. We didn't have relationships, we didn't have friends, and so that was really what happened in this Conway move. So people ask all the time, and I'll just maybe answer this question. I say, why would you choose Conway to start a church? Right? That's a good question, by the way. There's a lot of churches in Conway, a lot of really good churches, and so the way we say that was we didn't choose Conway. Conway chose us. I think I've told Jeff and Laura this story before, but it was July 1st of 2013, and I was finishing up my Master's of Divinity, and I was finishing that on June 30th. And remember, we were very lonely, and our marriage was in a tough spot. And we got a phone call. I knew July 1st was going to be significant because I finished my degree on the 30th, and we had always trusted God with our lives. And so we kept waiting on July 1st till the phone rang at 9 a.m. And it was one of my mentors, and which I think is incredibly important. If you don't have someone in front of you that's kind of walking with you and leading you down a path, you're really doing a disservice to your own leadership. And so Chad asked me if I would consider coming to Conway. And my first answer was no. I was looking to get back into business and maybe start a different career path because I was really burnt out and tired of what I had done for a living. I stepped back into the house after the phone call, and my wife said, "Before you say anything to me, was that about Conway, Arkansas?" And I remember we were living in Dallas. I grew up in Jamestown, outside of Batesville in North Arkansas. So Conway was just another spot on the map. And I said, "Yeah, why would you say that?" And she said, "I have not been able to get that city off of my mind for 3 days now. I saw a Facebook picture of the campus of UCA, and it's been on my mind." And so we packed up that day, and we drove from Dallas to Conway. And we drove to the campus of UCA, we walked the campus, and we really felt very strongly that this is where we needed to move. Within 1 day, we had a piece of property given to us on the campus of UCA at about $250,000. It was deeded over to us for the price of $1, so we had a place. I had about 10 students who said, "Hey, if you're serious about doing this, we're in." So we had a town, we had a team, and so that's how we began to work here. We started the church in 2013. In the last 6 years, we've started 4 other churches around Central Arkansas, where we've raised up leaders, helped equip them for their job, their ministry, their calling, and then we sent them out. We've moved 8 different locations in the last 6 years, which if you've ever tried to move a few hundred people across town, that's not an easy task. And the church has grown to about 500 in 6 years. So it is a lesson in organizational leadership.
So let's unpack that a little bit. Let's start with the reference that you made to mentors, right? So tell us from your perspective, you said one of your mentors, and I'd like you to think about across all of them, and think about some of the common things that those mentors did that you can now point to and say, he or she did this, or the 2 or 3 things that you think really had an impact on you as an emerging leader.
So mentorship is an interesting thing. I get the privilege to come across a lot of college students throughout my week, and a lot of it's kind of a hot button issue right now. What I found, not one of my mentors ever knew that they were mentoring me. But what I was doing is I was noticing leadership qualities in each man, and it just happened to be men in this particular situation, and I wanted to exhibit those in my own life. And so I would constantly press into those places on those men. I would take them out and offer as a college kid to buy them lunch, and I would take my notebook and a pen. And they probably got tired of me asking questions, and I would write fast, and I'd say, "Hey, hold on, you say that last part of it?" And I would write. And I would get home with my notebook and I would read back through that because I saw things in them that I wanted in my own life. So one man in particular, his name is Rob. I've never seen someone serve as well as Rob, one of my mentors. Rob was the kind of guy who I would wake up in the morning on my way to college, and he would be push mowing an elderly woman's yard at 7 o'clock in the morning. And when I saw that, I wanted to be that for someone else. I looked at Rob's life and I said, that's a life that matters. That's a life that's pouring into other people. And so, especially as I get older, rather than trying to create opportunities for myself, I've realized that it is in the serving of others that we find our joy. And by adding value to the lives of others, I believe that connects us to a holy purpose, a divine purpose. And so I learned that from Rob. I learned communication skills by a man named Chad. Chad Graves, expert communicator. He had a way of captivating an audience. When you would sit in a room with Chad and you were across the table, Chad would make you feel like you were the most important person on earth. I learned that from Chad, and I would ask him questions. What makes that unique? Where did you learn that skill? And he'd say, well, I'm writing down notes. And so I continue to have mentors today. Many of which don't know they're mentoring me, and I would say this too, like if you're looking for a mentor, the last thing that you should do is ask someone to mentor you, because no one who's leading a successful life has just like lots of time in their schedule that they're looking to spend on someone else. Generally speaking, now there are exceptions to that rule, but what I've found is if you can respect and value their time, if you can get time across the table for them, everyone wants to help someone else. It's just kind of hard to schedule that, so pursue that.
It's interesting you bring that up because I tell people You should never have a conversation with someone that says, will you be my mentor? Because what you do then is you take the responsibility off of yourself and you place it on them, and that changes the dynamic of the relationship. So we've never had that conversation, but it's interesting to hear you say that as well.
And I've taken you out for lunch, and I have opened up my phone when you said certain things, and I said, hey, Jeff,
I thought you were just texting.
No, I was trying to get a free lunch, but on top of that, I was learning because I saw things in your own life that I wouldn't mimic in my own.
So let's talk about multiple locations, opening up multiple locations, and let's equate that. I know we're talking about it in the context of a church and planting a church, and we have people, perhaps in this room, certainly people in this community, who have done that with their businesses. Let's talk about some of the challenges and how do you get something good enough and mature enough that you can go and replicate it in another geography.
You know, there's so many different models that we could speak to, but what I have found in creating those, first of all, if you run a business and you have paid employees, I'm envious of you. Because the majority of my time is spent leading volunteers. And you want to learn leadership skills, try to figure out how to do a big thing with volunteers only. You're going to learn leadership skills really quickly. And so one of the things I think when we're talking about multiple locations, franchising, there's a franchising model where everything's kind of that cookie cutter, right? It needs to look the same, it needs to smell the same, it needs to feel. That's not the model that we've taken in anything. What we've taken is we look for characteristics that kind of go across the board. And so we create value-driven cultures. We have 5 family values. In each of our campuses, you're going to see those 5 family values played out in real time. So I have found that if you create a value-driven culture, you have a better chance of getting to the end result or the end product that you make. If it may be widgets for you. If you're looking for the same characteristics in people from location to location, you have a better chance of creating that quality product or service that your company may offer.
Is there a time frame that you generally try to adhere to between opening new locations or planning new locations?
For us, it's been about a year. So I like to spend about a year with someone before I feel comfortable releasing them to do their own thing. So during that year, we're walking together, we're learning things together, we're meeting up, we're having hard conversations. I'm seeing things in their leadership and asking questions about that, and we're developing a high trust relationship. And then I will say this, like we've done this 4 times, 3 are still in existence. So I understand what it's like to fail. Our first church was a failure for all intents and purposes in Dallas. One of our first church plants was a failure in Arkansas. And so I'm not afraid of failing. I love the spray paint on the back of Blue Cell says, doubt kills more dreams than failure ever will. I think it's in failing where we learn our best leadership lessons in life. So we talk about a fail-forward culture. It's all right to fail. What's not all right is to fail and go backwards. You fail, you create a safe environment for people to fail, and then you lift them up by the hand and go, okay, what did we learn here? What can we do moving forward? And so we don't create punishment cultures. We create a reward system where we can reward the right qualities in people and help them succeed in leadership. And when you do that, to me, I like to think that we want to create a culture that's so contagious that no one wants to leave, but train and prepare them so well that they have opportunities all over the place. If you will love your people and lead the people who are a part of your organization well, they don't want to leave. And that's what we've experienced.
So we teach our entrepreneurs that come through the conductor to fail fast, because you will fail, and it's only failure if you quit. Otherwise, it's just feedback. So it sounds like you're employing the same principles.
We're trying to, yeah.
Talk to us about one of those failed campuses. Analyze that for us, dissect that for us a little bit.
So the first, when we went multi-site for the first time, there was a guy who came in. He was very gifted. He was articulate. I saw things in him that were appealing, and I thought, this is the guy for this. And what we did is we asked for a year, and we spent a year together and walked through it. And about 6 months in, he said, we're ready. We're ready. We're ready. We're ready. We're ready. And so we didn't like it because we wanted a year, but we said, okay, he's insisting on going. let's do it. And so we launched out in 6 months. And about 2 years into that, the whole thing crumbled. He got overwhelmed. He did not lead his team well. And because of that, that organization is no more. And when I look back, I realized what was happening there. We had more qualities that we were trying to instill in him. He was so ambitious that he was not being coachable anymore at that point. And I think that's true when you look to go multi-site, when you're looking to expand your organization. There is quality over quantity. We've all seen companies grow too fast. We saw businesses grow too fast and get too eager and too motivated to expand that they lose important values and characteristics in the process. And to me, that is the epic flaw of expanding too quickly. And that's what we experienced.
So you said there was ambition that was so overblown, so to speak, that there was really wasn't a good coachable time. Talk a little bit about that.
And not only was he ambitious, I was ambitious. And so those two together were kind of a deadly cocktail for failure. He wanted something, I wanted something, and we skipped the process to get there. If we would have walked through those key values, for those of us, we have 5 key values. I won't go into them, but our people know, our leadership know it, our organization knows it. In fact, Daniel Tyler, who's sitting in the back of the room, we're in the process working with him right now. He's posting those around our building. So every person that walks in and out of our organization any given weekend is going to see what's important to us. It's going to be blasted right in front. And so when we see those characteristics lived out, then we know that someone is ready to carry them forward. But don't skip the process. And I didn't learn that growing up. Another one of those mentors that I've picked up in the last 6 years, his name's Tim, and he's taught me to cross the T's and dot the I's, even if it takes longer. I'm a ready, fire, aim. Anybody else, like naturally, you're just a ready, fire, aim? Others in the room are like ready, aim, right? Like we all have a natural disposition, I feel like, to one of those directions. But for me,
Can you be a fire ready aim?
yeah, and that's probably more accurately described for Luke. Yeah. Jump first. Because we learn that way. You know, we go forward and we fail and we're like, all right, well, I'm not scared of failure. That's just another lesson I picked up along the way. Let's go at it again. And that's when I go back to those, just the value of hard work. There's no easy way to fulfill the dreams that you have for yourself, that God's given you, however you want to say that. There's no shortcuts to that. We live in a culture of millennials right now, and all looking to be the next overnight success. I don't know that overnight success is a real thing. Malcolm Gladwell in his book, Tipping Point, says there's no such thing as a prodigy. Any prodigy that you see has spent 10,000 hours in his or her craft. 10,000 hours. He says that prodigy, that 10-year-old child prodigy on the piano has already spent 10,000 hours at a piano. That's just the part that we don't see. The rapper who gets famous overnight has spent 10,000 hours holding a fake microphone in his bedroom, developing a skill. Now, some people may be more naturally gifted than others, but there's no shortcut for hard work.
Did you ever hold a fake microphone in your bedroom?
Only when singing to the Beastie Boys in high school. Yes. Yes.
I don't want to dwell on failure, but I too believe that there is a significant amount to learn from failure. And one of the questions that I would ask you is, when do you know when it's time to pull the plug?
So we have 6 distinctives, and this is going to take us into. I want to talk in a moment about playing the finite and the infinite game. If you've ever listened to Simon Sinek, you've heard him talk about the finite and the infinite game. We play the infinite game as an organization. What that means is we don't play by a certain set of rules or structure. In my role, I can't win or lose. In the organization that we lead, we're not playing a compare and contrast with other organizations who are like us. We are doing what we believe is best. And what, in our state, what we believe the Lord God is leading us to do. So we're playing an infinite game that cannot be won or lost, only lived out. And so one of our infinite rules is we refuse to play it safe. We have done things in the past. So how many of you have ever been to Freedom Fest on 4th of July weekend? Anybody? Okay. So Freedom Fest has grown to about 12 to 15,000. It happens out at Lake Beaverport. That was a brainchild of ours 6 years ago. 6 years ago, it started as a 5K zombie run. So we took that idea to the police chief, the fire chief, and the mayor, and we said, all right, we have a great idea to add value to the city, because we wanted to add value to the city of Conway. And they go, okay, all right, you're here with us, you've got everybody, what is it? And I said, we want to put on a 5K zombie run. Oh, okay, can you tell us a little more about that? Yeah, so Tucker Creek, we want to do a race, and it was when Walking Dead first got popular. It was a different day and age. Don't throw stones, don't judge me. And we said, we're going to have zombies coming out, and you have to run, and if they touch you, you're out, blah, blah. And it was the worst idea that I think anyone ever had in Conway. So we knew, judging by the reaction that we were getting, that this was a terrible idea. But we weren't afraid to fail. And so we changed the zombie run idea to host a small event at Laurel Park before the 4th of July weekend, because we saw a hole in Conway's schedule. The first 4th of July, I spent sitting in the parking lot of the Patron restaurant watching the fireworks go off over Centennial Valley, and I thought, Conway is an awesome city, and this is the best. Now, by the way, if you put on those fireworks at Centennial, I would say thank you. That's an entire wonderful. But I thought, man, we've got to have something that can engage people, that you can go to together and celebrate freedom and independence. And that's where the idea for Freedom Festival was birthed. And so the zombie run, I was embarrassed by that. You know, that was one of the first interactions I had with the mayor. And he had a sour take. I mean, he thought, who the heck is this kid? You know, what kind of idea is he going to throw? And so we just had to kind of swallow that and go, you know what? That was a really crappy idea. Let's come up with a better one. And then 3 years into our event at Laurel Park, they said, hey, let's add fireworks and make this a community event. And now it's grown to an incredible event in Conway that many of you have enjoyed. So I think that's one example of knowing when it's time to change gears and having some courage to go, okay, let's do something.
So let's go a little deeper into that and talk about there are business people who many times have a location that is not performing well relative to the other location, or a segment of a business, a product, and the investment to keep that one afloat starts to cannibalize the success of the others. Can you talk a little bit about that? And when we've got multiple locations, you have to ultimately make the decision to just get out of it.
Yeah, that's a difficult situation to be in. No one likes to own it. I think the one thing that we could maybe add to that part of the conversation is creating a culture where it's okay to fail, yes, but we own that and we can walk confidently in that. So having, again, I think it comes down to courage. Having the courage to say, look, this isn't going well, and I'm going to take ownership and responsibility. We need to redirect. I heard someone say one time, most organizations think that they're one good hire away from success. But the reality is that they're usually one fire and one hire away from success. Now, if you've ever had to let someone go in your organization, there's nothing, from my experience, more difficult than that. But letting someone go is very comparable to me than having a sector of your business that's not doing well and letting that go in order to fulfill a bigger vision. And so just owning that fully and knowing, like for me, it's knowing that my value and identity doesn't come from my success. So as a believer, my value and identity comes from something much bigger. So when that's the case, your opinion doesn't matter to me. And my opinion of me doesn't really matter. It's I'm living for something greater, and someone else kind of defines who I am. But that kind of goes back to my core Christian belief and Christian ethic. But that being the definition of my life allows me to fail, allows me to take hard things and go, that's not working, let's crush it, let's put more interest in. I've got some friends in Nashville. They started a company called Soundstrike. Has anyone heard of Soundstrike? So we do an exercise with a lot of our planners called a kingdom concept, and I just want to show you, I think this is very valuable for this conversation. First thing we do is we look at our local predicament. So we say, maybe for you, it's what in my market or my immediate surroundings is lacking. What is my local predicament? Where's the need around me? And then we look at what we bring to the table. We say, what is your unique gifting and calling, right? And so we look at the crossover of that, and we find that kingdom concept. This is what I was made to do. So while mission while your values may change, your mission stays the same. So I think leadership is saying no to something in order to say yes to something better. We have to be willing to say no to something in order to move into this. Maybe it's a microcosm of growth, something really small that we see potential in. Going, hey, let's put more effort into that. Let's say no to this other thing so that we can pursue this greater thing, because I think there's something. That's where innovation comes from. We were most innovative the first year of our organization. We had nothing, and yet we were able consistently to create something. We had 60 volunteers giving 10 hours per week on Saturdays to bring something to life that didn't exist. The only reason that happened is because people saw a vision. They believed that we were going in a healthy direction, and they were willing to do great sacrifice. These are unpaid people giving up an entire Saturday for years for this vision that they believed in. We tried to paint a clear picture and point people to it, and they responded. And so, yeah, there was one season of our lives where we had a semi-truck. We would unload the semi-truck and convert the Boys and Girls Club of Faulkner County into an event facility. And then we would pack that semi-truck back every weekend. We did this for years with unpaid volunteers. And it's because they believe in something. And I think that's where we have to get. That's when we're talking about the infinite game. It's not about winning or losing. It's about casting a greater picture of what could be. And when people see that with clarity, then they're willing to move forward with their time.
So your entrepreneurial approach, if you will, to church planting and growing and what have you, has also been recognized, and you do some work with other churches outside of your, with a larger convention. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so a couple of years ago, we were in kind of a weird spot. I grew up in a very fundamental and old school kind of system, and we were doing things that were more innovative, and that cost us a lot. We had a lot of attacks that were thrown at us because in reality, we weren't really changing anything. We were just such a conservative group. So we did that. We lost some things in that process. It took that was hard. Daniel walked through a lot of that with us. But on the backside of that, there was a whole other group of people that were watching what we were doing. And so about 2 years ago, that denomination said, hey, we actually love what City Church is doing in Conway, Arkansas. And so they hired me part-time. I work as a strategist for the state of Arkansas. So now we're taking principles that we've learned locally, and we're helping catalyze those in other areas of the state. We're working with groups from Wynn, Arkansas, to Mountain Home, Arkansas, to Jonesboro, to Pine Bluff and El Dorado, all over the state, instilling some of these key components, some of these more innovative practices. Hey, you don't have much? That's okay. Let's talk about what you do have and how you can use that to fulfill a greater vision. And so that's been really neat now to kind of go from a practitioner to a strategist in some ways to help others do what we've had the privilege of doing here in Conway.
Great. So we've got this backdrop behind us. Normally we don't have this, and it says Disciple Trip at the top of it. Tell us, what is Disciple Trip?
So this gets into some faith areas. So humor me for a bit. If you're not there with me, that's okay. Maybe there'll be something there that you can appreciate. But so part of playing that infinite game is not playing by the rules. So let me explain. Football is a finite game. There's a set time for each quarter. There's rules that you cannot break. At the end, you either leave a winner or a loser. When you play the infinite game, you can't win or lose. There's no finish line. There's no set of clear rules. One of the things I've realized about the church in America is that we have outsourced the ministry to the paid professional on stage. We've created a Christian celebrity culture where the people up front do all the heavy lifting and the rest of us show up to consume our religious goods and services. That's kind of the American complex. And I don't think it's any coincidence that the church is in plateau and decline. That 80% of churches in America are in plateau and decline. Some 66% of Baltimore County would claim no religious affiliation of any kind on any given weekend in Conway, Arkansas. So what we're trying to do is level the playing field. I don't think that ministry is reserved for a paid professional on stage. I think that ministry is something that we all have access to. And so we're trying to make it possible. We're giving tools and resources to help everyday believers live out their callings in the places that they live, work, play, and shop. So how can you, as a business owner, live out your faith? Well, we think we can help with that. We think that the Great Commission that Jesus gave his church is not just for the pastor, not just for the worship leader, but for every person who follows him. And so our initiative is to create an adventure movement. We want to help people see every day as mission trip. Raise your hand, this will be fun. Raise your hand if you've ever been on a mission trip of any kind. You went to another city, another state, another country. Okay, about 2/3 probably. We believe that mission is not just something that you do on a trip, but it's something that you're invited into every day of your life. And so you have an opportunity every single day with the people that you come in contact with to live a better story. A story of adventure. If you read scripture, it's so funny. Religion has become like, when I grew up, it was something that my grandparents did. We sit with our hands folded in our laps. If it was a great service, maybe you even raised your hand, but then you went back to your normal lives. I think that is a disservice. When we read stories of scripture, these are people in the everyday. There was stuff happening at the watering hole, the well, where the believers gathered during the day, the homes. It was an everyday, all kind of life movement that was happening. And we want to tell a better story about the faith that you're invited into, the actual following Jesus in the everyday. And so that's what this book and this project is geared on. And we're already starting to see some things happen from that. We've seen some people who are living these stories of seeing every day as adventure. I've got a guy that his name's Paul. I met Paul at an HP event for Run DMC. We were actually standing on a baseball field, and I was coaching his son, and he found out we were pastors. He said, "What are you doing this weekend?" I said, "Not much. What about you?" And he said, "Oh yeah, we're throwing this private event." He goes, "Would you like to come?" I'm like, "Run DMC? Yes." And so I show up at the show, Cajun Tour from Little Rock, and there's a printout of the top selling ISRs at Hewlett Packard, and then there's my name and Daniel's name in pencil at the bottom of the guest list. So he gives us our VIP badge, we walk into the bathroom, and I'm standing in the stall next to Run DMC, relieving myself. And I notice over my shoulder a pair of, actually, down up, it's a pair of Adidas, and it's Mr. Run. Hi, Mr. Run, how are you doing? And so Paul and I have this incredible night together, and we get to hang out and Run DMC. And so we live, and we get home, and we invite him over to the house, not Run DMC, but Paul. So Paul comes over to the house, and he says, "Hey, no one's invited me to their house in 10 years. Thank you for having my family over for dinner." And what was happening is we were forging a friendship that never happened inside the walls of the church, but in the everyday places. Paul now leads a discipleship group in his home. I was there on Tuesday. 15 to 20 men. They eat good food together. They share from the Bible together, and they confess sin and pray together. Grown men, professionals from all over the city that come together to do those things. Paul is a living example of this adventure movement. And so he is walking into work, and he has literally had the boss call him into his office and said, "Hey, Paul, I know that you take this stuff really spiritually. My son is sick. Would you pray for him?" Paul's a normal dude. Paul's a six-figure guy working in corporate America who has done well in business, and now his life is being opened up. And it's changed his perspective, it's changed his attitude, and he is living an adventure. And so that is really what this is geared at.
And you got a book coming out.
Yeah, so on Wednesday, the book goes on Amazon. It's called Disciple Trip. I would love it if you would consider pre-ordering a copy. If you don't want to buy it and you want one, let me know. Email me. I will send you one for free. I would love to just put it in your hands. We are doing a party at Centennial Valley, and today we opened it up to the public. You can go on Eventbrite. It's called Disciple Trip Book Launch Party. And there's going to be live music. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to eat good food. And I'm going to share a little bit more about some of these things.
Okay. So we appreciate, with the conductor, we're focused on helping entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs, inventors, creators, makers, and what have you. So we appreciate you letting us extract out some of the parallels from your faith-driven business, if you will, and I don't normally refer to it that, but letting us kind of extract out some of the parallels in leadership and business and what have you, and how those apply. I'd like to maybe open up the floor for any questions that you guys have. Anybody?
Nope. Lynn's got one.
Say that again, Glenn. Yes. We once did a pitch for the conductor for the Burrito Bank. So this is free, all right? It was so silly. We decided we would buy an old bank, right, with the drive-through teller windows, and instead of sending out money and corresponding, the old bank that you can get for cheap because you can't really sell a bank bill, and they're kind of weird for most businesses. We could turn that into a restaurant. We'd send the burritos in tubes, and shoot, you could order a burrito right there. It would shoot to your window. So that's free. That's not trademarked. If you want to start the Burrito Bank, yeah, we didn't win the pitch competition, but it was such a fun experience. Great question.
Anybody else? All right. Well,
Joey, we're going to ask you to leave us with a gem, if you will.
some kind of leadership, personal leadership, business leadership, people leadership gem that we could all take back and maybe apply tomorrow.
Yeah, I think mine, I don't think this is going to be profound for anyone, but I think it's rich. And I think if we would apply it to our lives, it would. I want to be a lifetime learner. One of the reasons that I've continued to stay in school now for 18 years is because, in my mind, I'm going to learn anyway. We never stop learning. We continue to develop. So one of the goals I have is to read a book a month. That's not a lot of people. There are people in here that read a book a week. Some of you maybe not read a book a year, but I would encourage you, keep your mind healthy and fit, not only by practicing physical activity, but mental activities. One of the things that we've done is expose ourselves to things that we disagree with. I love going into different environments from people who believe completely different. I spent some time in the mosque not too long ago near the campus of UCA in order to learn and build friendships. That doesn't scare me. And another thing that we do is, just to stay sharp, is we do a lot of podcasts. So I love intaking a podcast. I'm sure you guys are probably familiar with Entree Leadership. That's one of my favorites. From Founder to CEO is another great podcast on the Apple Store that just keep learning. And I think that keeps our minds pliable and allows us to stay open to new and innovative ideas.
All right, I'm going to ask you one more. We've got a number of students in the room, both at the graduate and undergraduate level. And if they're at the undergraduate levels, they're going to be graduating in December or May, or at the graduate level in the next, with their MBA or Master of Accountancy in the next, call it 6 months to a year. So give some life advice to these students that are here today, specifically based upon maybe something you've experienced.
Okay, that one's fun. I was in New York a couple of weeks ago and I watched Hamilton. Anyone seen Hamilton? Incredible, yes. You can't just raise your hand to Hamilton. It's like on. There's a really cool song in there where they're talking about you have one shot. And I'm not going to waste it, is what Andrew Hamilton was being portrayed there. You may get one opportunity that comes your way. Seize it. I love calculated risk. I do things often that scares my team, and it's funny, they'll say things like, I'm just going to trust you because it generally works out. there's a fine line between crazy and taking something that's when an opportunity poses itself. We were just talking earlier over dinner. We were literally driving by a house about a month ago. We had no intentions of moving, and we saw some activity in the cul-de-sac. There were literally people lined up down the sidewalk waiting to get in, realtors and their clients. And we noticed that, and we called our realtor who's in the room, and there was a house that was priced about $100,000 less than what the market value was. And so, without even thinking twice, my wife and I put our heads together and go, hey, let's buy it. We don't have to see it. We ended up walking through it, which was a wise decision, but we bought it. And when those opportunities present themselves, don't be afraid to jump in, especially when you're young. When you are young, it's a golden opportunity to take bigger risks. Now, when you get older, those risks have to become more calculated because there's more at stake, especially if you have a family and you're thinking legacy and things like that. I was never looking to get into this career field, but I was in Nashville, Tennessee, and a man said, I need your resume. I want you to come work for your church, for a church. It was the first time in my adult life I'd ever even considered, and so I sent my resume, and they hired me on the spot. It sent me in a direction that I never dreamed I would go, and I wouldn't change a thing. Now, here's the thing. You need to hear the objections to this. There are going to be times when that costs you. That's okay. That's when you learn the greatest lessons, and you have to be willing and open to do that over time because you may only get one shot.
Very good. Joey, we appreciate you. We appreciate the work you're doing in our community. We appreciate you being here with us, and we wish you certainly all the best with the Disciple Trip launch next week.
Next week. Thank you, Jeff, and thank you for coming out and listening. I'd love to connect with you. You can connect with us on social media, Google any of this stuff, find me, send me a message. Love to connect offline.
Round of applause. Yeah. So you all know we do at the Conductor, we do Game Changers once a month, usually on a Thursday night. Sometimes we have to shuffle it, usually toward the middle to the third week of the month or so. So we encourage you to go to arconductor.org, arconductor.org. You can see a list of all of our events. Go to Facebook, the Conductor's on Facebook. We're also on Twitter. We generally update all of our followers on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and on our website as well. So if you want to make sure you stay attuned to the events that are coming up. The next event we have, probably, you know, off the top of your head. What, Startup Stories? October 2nd. Startup Stories occurs at 11:30 to 1 at the UCA Makerspace. And I believe we have, Matt Glover from Glover Fitness will be talking about her story in starting her company, Glover Fitness. Lunch is served. We invite you to come, follow us on the Conductor, and let us know if you own a business, you want to experience some of the coaching, mentoring, consulting that comes along with the Conductor. You can also schedule that as well. Thanks to all of the Conductor team, to our partners, UCA, and we're glad you came. Have a good evening.